Um, Incredible discipleship, amazing community. It felt like a family. We served together. We, talked about the alabaster jar together. We, you know what I mean? Like it was an incredible community. In particular, I had a good friend and mentor who really walked me through those years, those formative years. I feel like you don't really become an adult until you're like 21 these days. I don't know. That's me. But Pastor Jeff was an incredible friend and mentor to me. He was kind of like the youth pastor / pastor of everything, like the handyman, the accountant, all of that, and mentor and friend and everything in between. He actually really helped form who I am today. He kind of got me my first accounting job, like all that stuff. It's my guy. There was one moment in particular, though, that I think is characteristic of learning to see. So in college, I was going through the growing pains of managing adult responsibilities. I also, like many college students, didn't have much money. Some may say I was broke. And when you're learning to navigate finances, you often have to make opportunity costs based on importance. Paying rent, eating food, paying rent, car insurance. I guess nobody, okay. And nobody was broken here. Well, for me, I had to make that opportunity cost between paying rent and insurance. And so I wasn't really sure how long I went without car insurance. But one night, after serving and hanging out, this came up with Pastor Jeff. Do you know what he said to me? He said, Jordan, driving without insurance put yourself and others in life-threatening situations and could potentially cause irreparable harm. And I was like, dang. Please note, though, that he said this from a place of love. We had spent years cultivating a relationship, and so there was trust there. So he could say these type of things to me. But then you know what he said next? He said, Jordan, let me pay for your insurance. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Pastors are grossly underpaid. I needed about $300 to get my insurance caught up. That's a lot of money for an associate pastor with a wife and 3 kids. He's got 5 kids now, but at the time he had 3. I tried to say no, but he insisted. Not through shame or coercion, but through sacrificial love, rooted in relationship. Because in that moment, he made reality clear to me. He not only made himself vulnerable, financially, emotionally, but he made me aware of the inherent vulnerability of all those around me. We don't live in isolation. Our decisions affect everyone because our life is shared, whether we want to or not. The more we isolate ourselves, the more the world becomes isolated to us. But the more we open up and risk with others, the more life can be shared with everyone so that we can all experience Jesus because he's waiting at the table for all of us. So, talked about friendship, talked about all these things. Let's make it practical. Friendship is a practice, as I mentioned earlier, that kind of intertwines our life with others. We need to learn to care for what we can receive, but also what we can give. It's mutual, right? It's that dance, that interdependence that we talked about earlier. I think a helpful phrase to root our commitment, kind of moving towards others, is a holy obligation. Johnny stole my thunder last week, but it's a great word. So, kind of with the movement of holy obligation, how do we, and once again, to the Western mind that has grown up on individualism, obligation sounds kind of terrible. You maybe want to be obligated to your spouse, obligated to work, but outside of that, it's like, I don't want to be obligated to anything else. But I think our imagination needs to change for what that looks like in our lives. So, here's a few ways to kind of cultivate this kind of imagination about holy obligation. So, first, do I feel wholly obligated to the people and places of Salt Lake City? I think one of the first things we have to do is examine our inner motivations. Sometimes we'll make decisions or act in a way that is actually incongruent to what we actually believe. And so I think the first thing we need to ask ourselves is a little bit of self-awareness check. Do I actually believe this? Do I think it's true? Is this a deep value in me? Because that's kind of the life that Jesus has invited us into. And so I think it's like, this is what Jesus has invited me into. Do I believe it? The way of Jesus is exemplified by sacrificial love for the sake of others. That's like bottom line, bare minimum, follow Jesus. But do I believe that story to be true? Second, I think I might have changed this question before the slide came down, so. Oh, no, we're good. Great. Who do I feel called to, and how can I respond? I adjusted the question a little bit. I said, who do I see, and how can I respond? Seeing is an act of loving sacrifice. Do I know how to cross the boundary lines? Once again, we kind of did the self-awareness audit. Do I see the boundary lines that exist for me? Do I see my time as purely for myself, or do I create margin in my life for others? So we kind of have to examine those motivations, and then we have to ask ourselves, who do I see and how can I respond? And honestly, who's seeing me and how can I respond? I think so many times in life, there's people around us who are asking for an invitation for friendship, but a lot of times we don't respond because we're busy, we're hurried, whatever it is. So as an example, for myself, who do I see? I kind of umbrella everything that I do kind of in Salt Lake City under Jeremiah 29. Not Jeremiah 29:11, Jeremiah 29. There's a whole passage. At the end of the passage, Jesus, the God of Israel, is saying, plant vineyards, pray for the city, and intercede on its behalf, because it will be blessed if you are blessed. And so that's kind of how the vision I take into the world. And so I have the people that have seen me, and Johnny kind of mentioned this last week. So for me, there's kind of two. Who I see and who see me is the in-between, one of our partnerships here, and then also the Other Side Academy. And so I have, through my life experience, through kind of my self-awareness, kind of looking at my life, but also looking at the people who are in need in my community and whose gifts, what gifts I can bring and also what I can receive, those are the two that kind of line up best with my life. So once we've kind of examined our hearts and clarified our values, once we've understand who sees us and how we can respond and who we see, number 3, we create rhythms of befriending others, seeing connection, and participating in life together. Do we have that one? Hey. So every practice requires actionable steps in order to create rhythms that help you reorient yourself around the things that you care about. And so what that looks like is, once you've kind of done all the internal work and some of the external work, you set an intention. So, for example, myself, I try and be at the Other Side Academy and the in-between at least once a month. Whatever that looks like. Whether I'm actually sitting someone, in the No One Dies Alone program at the in-between, or whether I'm delivering toilet paper, right? I count that. I count both of those. You know what I mean? Like, the whole point is not to check a box. The whole point is rhythms and routines. How do I get to be in these spaces and get to hear the stories that are happening? How do I build friendships? How do I see and help others help me see as well? That's also one of the things that when you kind of examine your boundaries, it allows you to say, okay, who are the people that I'm intentionally avoiding? And those are probably the people that need to help me see. Whether that's a political aisle, whether that's theological, whether that's proximity, whatever it is, create that rhythm where you're there often so you can kind of learn to see the way they see. Because I have opportunities to get to know people like Kathy and Jillian and Kimberly and John and Lindsay, and I learn the stories and I learn the families and I meet the babies and I grieve and I do all the things of what it means to be a human being. They help me see. The reason why practice is important is because Essentially, most friendship is just made of time spent together. Cruelty and compassion, fear and joy can be found. Cruelty and compassion, fear and joy can be found in our own hearts. When we dare to care, we have to confess that when others kill, I could have killed too. When others torture, I could have done the same. When others heal, I could have healed too. And when others give life, I could have done the same. By the honest recognition and confession of our human sameness, we can participate in the care of a God who came, not to the powerful, but to the powerless, not to be different, but to be the same, not to take our pain away, but to share it. Through this participation, we can open our hearts to each other and form a new community. Let's pray. Jesus, thank you for being the God who is close. We don't have to create barriers so that your presence won't leave us. You move through every barrier. You draw near to us even when we don't feel like we can draw near to our own self. I pray, Jesus, that we would live into your example and we'd be human like you. That we reflect the goodness of the Father, Son, and Spirit. That we'd see with others. That we'd be obligated to love and care for the city of Salt Lake City, for the coffee shop, for the grocery store, for the person who looks down when I walk past them. Help us to see others, God, and I pray that we are able to invite others to help us see. It's in your name. Amen. The table is what is offered to all of us. And Jesus is waiting. We come as vulnerable humans, full of uncertainty and looking for communion, literally. At the same time, we come with the potential to offer the kind of love and trust that can bind us all together. Everyone's welcome to the table. Feel free to rip the bread, dip into the cup. You can stay as long as you need. If you need to pray, take it back to your seat. There'll be people on the side here who'll be willing to pray with you. I hope you feel welcome. I hope you know that friendship is on offer to you. Let's worship.
Come out of sadness from wherever you've been. Come broken-hearted, let rescue begin. Come find your mercy, O sinner, come kneel. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can't heal. Earth has no sorrow